really before he got enough air.
Yeah.
Then he just
So, is that the old pump that's running the gas one?
yeah,
then?
yeah, he put so much gas in it and see it would quit on its own whenever it filled it up.
Okay,
And so all he had to do is come down to drain it.
okay,
He walked down the hill.
right.
Evidently it'd freeze there or something. There must have been a plug down there or something.
Yeah, I don't know how that, oh, cause it won't backflow.
Yeah, because the big engine stood up, you know,
Yeah.
on a cement slab. When
And
it's
that's
low-
still in there. The big engine is, but we have electricity.
Oh,
Or
okay, see,
did you
yeah.
ever see it run?
Nope.
No,
No,
see,
it's
that
always like
would run, it would take, they had measured gas cans. And so how much they poured in, they knew how many gallons to get on the hill.
Up on the hill.
So all he was doing was coming down, I suppose.
To start it for the
yeah,
next cycle or whatever.
well, he was draining the pump, as I understand. That must have been above floor level.
I suppose it'd freeze otherwise.
Yeah.
And so he was draining it back down in that pit. You know,
Okay.
it wouldn't freeze down there.
Right.
And I assume when they come back with the gas, they put the plug back in and then they started the engine, you know, that would be the only, but yeah, and see, from then on, I never seen that pump house covered up that much either, you know.
Right,
But see, he was warm and he must, because the doors were shut,
yeah.
so I suppose he knew it by heart. Must have went in the dark, he didn't have no lantern or nothing with him.
Huh.
You know, I suppose you do it enough. You know, he went in and crawled down and was gonna drain that and come out, because when we come, the doors were shut, I suppose it was nice and warm in there, you know, come on. He
Yeah.
walked all the way down the hill and it felt pretty good in there,
Yeah.
Wow.
but he was just slumped, his legs were straight out and he was just sitting there like that. But it must have been, Shadeen figured that he wouldn't have been there much longer, because, I mean, he had pretty much shut down when he got
Didn't
that.
have no more. And then not to freeze without the blood flow and the oxygen. And
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and then to show you, I mean, he was okay at the pump house, but then just by we were giving him air at the door, with his hands laying outside the building, I remember his tips of his fingers were nipped, they were black.
Right.
Matilda said.
Now, people say he was a little different after this happened. Did you
Yeah. he
notice
was.
that too?
Bill slowed down a lot, you know, he was a pretty high baller, or, I mean, pretty much perfectionist, in his time, you know.
Uh-huh.
And he got, I suppose in modern terms, you'd say a guy got a little sloppy, you know, I mean,
Right.
well, I remember he stuck his hand, they had the car, you know, always had the wash house on the east side of your house.
Yeah.
There was a shed there, and there was always parking between there. And he went out and, not thinking, stuck his fingers in the fan, got him kinda, you know, mangled a little. And they, just certain little things that,
Huh.
it seemed like he got much mellower. That's the only way I can say it. Bill was,
Little high strung.
well, yes and no, you know, he was, but he didn't have time to waste, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know how I can explain it, I think he was, if at 6 o'clock he'd done something, I don't think he ever changed, you know. I mean, I think if he rung the
Meticulous and
church bell, why, at that time, that would be rung, and there's no if or and, you know. We were kind of the sloppy Germans on the west side of the creek. But, no, and he was an excellent neighbor.
Uh-huh.
And Matilda was, and Grandpa and Grandma, you know, George. See, I went to school with Eddie and Julia.
Oh, sure.
See, when I went in the first grade, Hank Almond was in 8th.
Okay.
So I went with every Almond, you know, Hugo and Joe and Dick. And, see, and I was in the class with Gertrude.
Okay.
So it was Gertrude and I and the 2 Otley girls started in the first grade.
Seeing the Otleys girls, I would.
No,
That'd be Lois, Mrs. Muncie, you know.
Right. Oh, okay. With the Otley farm.
Yep.
All makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that, she and her sister, she was a year younger, but they both started school the same year. Back then, they didn't ask how old you were, if you could read or get to school.
If you could get, if you had a way to get there, huh?
Yeah. And so that kind of put me in that age. Then George, you know, he and George Almond, Anastasia, there was 2 girls, what are they? There were 3 Almond girls.
Aye.
She's a little one. One was Anastasia.
Yeah,
Remember their names.
I can't tell you.
I could see her face.
Yeah,
They
they
look
were-
the same.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, they were started school before I got out. I know yeah, it was quite a thing in the morning when school, you know, about 8:30, all the almond kids and Julia and Eddie would be coming, you know, they'd all get up and had lunch pails and, you know, you wrestle and fight, and, you know.
Yeah.
I had the shortest distance, it was bottom of the hill, and of course, the teacher would, someone got a little late, but, and one of the things I remember from the Wheeling farm there is in the spring, we used to go over in the pasture and drown gophers. You know, we put a snare on the hole, the
Yeah.
big brown ones over there, man. That was our playground. Funny that, you didn't have any cows in there, I don't think. But, yeah, and the other thing I remember, I don't know how much of this you wanna know about, but we as kids went over and practiced Sunday school Christmas program in the basement of the church.
Yeah.
And we'd walk through Wheelan's yard, we'd go right by where your mom's house is, there was a horse barn there. I don't know if that was in the picture, it was a big horse barn, windmill and a water handle that used to live, we didn't know what running water was, you know. But they had running water, man,
Right.
so we thought, we all had to have a drink, you know, and then there was a barn there, and he must have fed the cattle some molasses and some stuff that was in a kind of press thing.
Yeah.
And I guess we thought we were chewing a snooze or something. We'd all get a cube and chew that on the way to the church. You know? And the teacher would be madder than heck, but she'd get over there, you know, and it'd take us a long time to get there. Then we practiced for the program. I remember the big purple heavy curtains that were in the basement. I don't know if they were gone.
Yeah, they're good.
And that's where we had our program, the school program. So they were pretty, you know, pretty generous to the school too. So, and then the other historic part of it, I guess what you call, is when they started digging the graves up. You know, we were in the
On the
schoolyard,
old cemetery.
in the old cemetery.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the teacher couldn't keep us in school. You know, we were looking out the window. She said, "Finally, just what the heck? Go out and watch for a while." You know, she just let us out of school when we stood on the.
So before they cut that, it was pretty much straight across there?
Well, it was just a narrow. When I walked to school, I mean, there was 2 lanes and very little on the side.
But I mean, like,
The bank, no, there was, but it was there to cut.
was there natural cut?
No, they'd cut through there, but it was narrow, very narrow.
But before 26 went there,
Oh, yeah.
was it just
Well,
level?
see, I didn't
or-
go to school before then, but they were.
Yeah.
it was already
That
there.
picture's older than him.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, no, that was there, it was just cut through there pretty much, just so the cars could get through. Cause see, in the winter, they closed that.
I bet it
Okay.
would be just solid.
They would close that, and then they'd drive down to your place, go down and use the old bridge. No, they didn't use that in the winter time, because that would plug. But we would stand out there, and you know, Conrad Reedman, old man, Connie,
Yeah.
he was a character. He'd plow, I see his land was just east of the schoolhouse. We'd go over there, and of course, he'd all BS with us kids, you know. He'd show us how he could tie his lines up, and then he'd let his horses go with a plow, you know, and then go right down the road, you know. He'd let them get out there a long ways, and then he'd run and catch up, you know. We always thought he was, you know, they were gone, and he was a character. But getting back to, his wife was the last one buried there in the cemetery.
Oh,
And he was pretty put out, I mean, because he had to dig, you know, they don't have backhoes then.
Right, you had to dig your wife out.
Yeah, and, you know, and everybody had to dig their own people out. I mean, if you had to have a family member, you come with shovels, and Hub Peterson, then again, the same guy that took your grandpa down. All they had was a 4-wheel wagon, a wood wagon wheel, I mean, metal rims, planks on the bottom, and 2 planks on the side, and I suppose they had a stiffener in between them. They loaded one at a time, took them over to the cemetery. And I think
And did you have to dig the hole for your where you were putting them then too?
You know, I don't see, we didn't get that far, we didn't get over there, I suppose they did.
I mean, they were all dug by hand, I'm
Yep.
sure,
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
but,
So
so
I,
did the family, I'm saying,
I
have to
never thought of that, though.
dig the
I
first
suppose
hole and then?
dig twice, yeah.
But see, some of the graves, because we had nosy enough, you know, when we got time off, we'd go over there after they were all done. And some of them were very shallow, so they must have